Hello and welcome to our first instalment of the conversion tracking setup tutorials. So within this initial tutorial, we're going to run through some really simple but yet very effective conversion tracking that we can set up together. So to start with, you need to have 3 screens open. I'm just going to run through those so that you can get those open and ready so that we can work through this tutorial. So the first one is the Google AdWords dashboard. Once you're in the dashboard, come over to the Tools and Settings icon here, and from the Management tab, select Conversions. Your screen may look a little different. I've already got a couple of conversions set up in here. Don't panic, that's all fine. So we just need to have this page open for now. The second screen that we want to have open is our Tag Manager container. So just go into tagmanager.google.com and that should bring you up your access to get into your container. And we can just stay on this page for now. And the third page that we want to have open is our website. And this is simply so that we can grab different paths and different actions that we need directly from the page, which is going to save us time and also make sure that anything we're putting into these conversions is accurate. Okay, so in this particular tutorial, we are going to create one single conversion and the methodology of which we can use across a number of different things. So for me, this is one of the most basic and easy to set up conversions, yet it's one of the most versatile and also one of the most accurate. So it's a really great conversion to have in place. We can use this conversion for a number of different things. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how we can use the same conversion to track email subscribers, contact form submissions, and registration form submissions. And as we work through this, you may have ideas of additional ways that you can use this particular setup. So let's dive into it. So to create a new conversion, the first thing we want to do is we want to come over here and we want to add a new conversion using this button here. And it's website conversions that we want to track. So let's select website conversions. So in the category here, what I'm going to do is it gives you an option of a number of different things that you can choose from. Let's go ahead and let's do the email subscribe for this particular example. So I'm going to say that's just, we're going to call that our email subscribe. And at the moment, I'm not going to assign a value for this conversion, and that's fine to do so, even though Google says it's not recommended. You don't have to add a value for each conversion. Ultimately, the data is more important to us, so that's fine. And how many conversions to count per click or interaction? So what this is asking you is, for something like a purchase, you want to record each customer's individual purchases, whereas if we just record one, it would be the first interaction they have with us. So especially where an email subscription is concerned, the likelihood is somebody's only going to sign up once to your email list. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to select one, and that's absolutely fine. Now we come down to a little bit more of the technical information, and I'll just give a brief overview of what that is and how I set it up, but you can obviously determine what's best for your organization. So the click-through conversion window, this basically tells Google that within a certain amount of days after somebody seeing your ad, if they convert, that when that cutoff is that they would stop recording that as a conversion. Now, from the drop down here, I'm going to set mine to 90 days. So even if somebody sees my ad and then 90 days later, then comes back and converts, I still want to attribute that conversion to that ad. The second thing we'll look at is view through conversion window. And again, this is when somebody may see your ad but not interact with it, but they may then convert later. So I'm going to set that again to the maximum of 30 days. So even if somebody saw my ad 29, 30 days ago, didn't interact with it, they then come back and convert on my site, again, I want to attribute that conversion to that particular advert. So including conversions, yes, we're going to include that. I'll show you later on in the course where there might be some opportunities where you may not want to include those. But for now, we're just going to click yes, and we're going to leave attribution model as the last click. Now we're going to go ahead and create and continue that conversion. And it's now providing us with 3 options as to how we can set this tag up. So the first one is adding the code directly to the website. The second one, it gives you an option to email that tag and code to your web developer for them to complete this action. Or the third option is that we can install it using the Google Tag Manager. And that's the option that we're going to work through in this tutorial. So we'll go ahead and select that. And what it's going to do is it's going to give us some key information that we now need to copy across to Google Tag Manager. So keep this screen open, don't move away from that for now, but let's click into the Google Tag Manager screen. So now that we're in Google Tag Manager screen, we want to create a new tag. So we can create that either through new tag option here on the dashboard or over in the tags tab here. We're going to go ahead and use this option. And currently it's untitled, so I'm going to give that a name. I want to make sure that this is attributed to the grant ads, so that gives me an immediate indication. If you're running paid ads, you'll have a separate account, so it's always good to have some kind of identifier to understand where things are coming from. So we're going to call it grant ads, email, subscribe. And we're going to come over here into this box and just click anywhere in here, and that's going to open up the tag configuration panel, and we're going to select Google Ads conversion tracking. And this is where we need those pieces of information from the dashboard. So we need the conversion ID, so let's go back and copy that across and just paste it in there. And we also need the conversion label. Okay, let's go ahead and grab that too. And again, just paste that in there. We don't need to complete any of the other fields at the moment. Obviously, if you did load in a conversion value, you can add that in here. But for now, that's all fine. We don't need to worry about any of the rest of it. We just need to come down and we now need to configure our trigger. So what's going to make this action recordable? So we can see here that we've already got a couple of triggers set up in place, but we don't want to use those. So we want to use a new one, and we're going to come across here and click the plus icon. And we're going to label this as our email subscriber thank you page view, because what we're going to do is we're going to ensure that anytime somebody subscribes to our email list, that they're actually directed to a unique page. And I'm just going to show you how that works here. So here's an example of a very basic email subscription form. And I'm just going to put my name in there, and I'm going to put my email in there, and I'm going to subscribe. And that's going to take us to this page, and we can see here it's tailored to that specific action. So it's thanking somebody for subscribing, and we've got a unique URL here. So this is really, really important, because what this is doing is we're going to fire this conversion on this unique page view, because we know that people will only be viewing this page if they've taken the action that we're trying to record. So when we come back over into the Google Tag Manager screen, we can then go ahead and we can set this up, and we can go to page view, but we don't want to fire it on all page views. We want to fire it on some page views. So if we select some page views, we can then select from the drop down list. We know what the page URL is. It doesn't contain, we're going to use equals, and we're just going to quite simply grab that URL from there and put it in here. And so now this conversion is built around this individual and unique page view, which only occurs when somebody subscribes to our email list. And we'll go ahead and we'll save that. I'll show you another example here of where we can also use that. So again, here is a really simple contact form. And what we can do is we can test this again here. So Wendy BC. Let's get our email in and let's just do a test message. And okay. And we can see again, this is redirecting us to a message which just quite simply says, thank you for your message. One of our team will respond to you shortly. And it's got a different URL here. So this is the specific page and URL we have assigned for anyone that's using the specific contact forms on our site. Now, if you have different contact forms for specific reasons, again, you can just create these individual pages and URLs, which will then identify which particular contact form that message has come from. And again, we'll just go over here and we can see that we've already got this one set up. And so the tag configuration is on page view, where the page URL is equal to donation.world/thank you. And that's all we need to do. We can again set it up for something like a registration form completion. So again, just built this out, this test version at the top here, where that somebody would complete their information. They can select from there, you know, if you want to create drop downs, however it is that you want to create your form. And then once they submit that form, it takes them to a unique thank you for your registration page. And all we do is we just set up that exact same setup, but with the different page URL, so that it gives Google the right information to be able to track those specific actions. And so hopefully that was fairly straightforward. From your workbook, I would suggest that you go through and make a note of all of the actions where you could potentially use this trigger. And then once you do have those set up, so this is our first one, we just click the next button and we click done. So what you should see now is your conversion being created. So we can see here that we've got the email subscribe and the one I created just earlier, the contact form submit. But what we can see here is that the tracking status of both of these is currently unverified. So what we want to do now is we just want to run some tests to make sure that that is working correctly. And we're going to do that using Google Tag Manager. So the first thing we want to do is to actually close out of our website page, because the Tag Manager Assistant sometimes will not work if you've already got your website open. So within the Tag Manager, all we're going to do is come over to this option here and click the preview button. And what that's going to do is that's going to open the Tag Assistant, which is a really, really useful tool. And you'll be prompted to add your site's URL in here, and we're going to click connect. So we can see here that that's now connecting. It's opened a variation of our site with the Google Tag Manager debug, and we can see that we've got a notification here to say that it is connected. So that's fantastic. If we go back over here, we can also see now that it's connected again here. So this is very cool, because what it shows us is all the tags that we currently have set up and what is firing and what is not firing. So don't be alarmed. We haven't taken the actions yet, which is why these are showing as not being firing. So let's go ahead and actually take those actions and see how this screen changes. So if we come over to this one, I'm going to go to our Contact Us page because I know that I've got a form on there. So we're just going to take the action as your sort of prospective customers or ad traffic would take. So let's just put a quick message in here. Okay, and test message. And then if we click send, what that's going to do now is that's going to reroute us to our unique thank you page that appears anytime somebody uses that contact form to connect with us. And if we go back over here, we can now see that the contact form submit has actually moved up into the tags that have fired. So we know now that that tag is firing. So let's go back and let's just check the email subscribe. So I know I've got one in my footer here. So let's just try that. Okay, and let's subscribe there. And again, we've landed on this thank you for subscribing page, which is unique to that particular email list. So we can come back over here and we can see now that all of our tags that we've just created are now firing. Now, it can take a little while for the tracking status to propagate within the Google Ads platform, but sometimes just doing these actions with the tag assistant open is enough to verify those tags. So let's just have a look and see if that's done that for us. So yeah, we can see here that these are still showing as unverified, but we do know that this is firing. So there's nothing really to be concerned about at the moment, but we'll just check back to see if those tags have then acted as verified. The other thing that you can do to push those verifications forward is to actually go into the ads within your Google Ads dashboard. So if we go into any one of our ads, forgive my internet speed this morning. And we could just quite simply click into any one of those ads and perform the action there. And that should be enough to verify these tags for us. Again, it's not always instantaneously. I'm just going to do this just to make sure then that in a few hours time, that tag is definitely showing as verified. So let's try that again. And test message, and let's get that sent. And again, we can then, once we're ready to check, just come over to the tools and settings under the conversion measurement. And yeah, as we can see, still showing as unverified at the moment, but we'll give that a few hours. It can take, as it says here, it usually takes up to 3 hours for that tag to verify. So don't panic if you see that. It doesn't mean that the tag isn't working. We've already verified in the tag assistant that it is firing correctly. So once we've got the tags firing, the last thing that we need to do is we just need to publish these to the site. So if we just come over to here and click the submit button, this is what's actually going to push it through. So we're going to go through that and click publish. We can just skip on this part. And what that's done now is that's made sure that that is saved, it's published, and you are ready and set up to track the conversions that we just created. And you'll need to do this every time you create a new tag or conversion, but generally speaking, you don't need to do it after each one. You can do it at the end of each session. So if we want to have a bit of a session of creating these conversions, we'd go ahead, create them all in one go, and then we can just submit them in one go. And yeah, we are now ready to, we can see here that we've got the conversions set up, they've all been verified, so we're good to go.